All right, we are really talking about expressions, but I feel funny not mentioning equations. And so let's talk about translating equations. And it's essentially the same with a couple of additions, right? Let me establish the difference first, though. So if I'm looking at the idea of an expression versus an equation, they are not the same thing. They are not the same thing. With an expression, one thing is no equal sign. With an equation, one thing is you have an equal sign. Right? That's the big difference. Two, you can do three things, can do three things to expressions. One, you can simplify, and order of operations, for example, allows you to do that. You can rewrite expressions. That's like the distributive property. We'll get into that. In fact, let me erase this from down here and put it down here. Distributive property. We haven't done that yet, but we will. And then the last thing you can do with expressions is evaluate them, right? And that's when we'll do this in a little while also. You just kind of plug in and simplify. Plug in and simplify. It may not make a lot of sense. These last two may not make a lot of sense right now, but we will. All right? For equations, what you do to those is solve it. Right? So you should never say, I'm going to solve the expression. If there's no equal sign, you don't solve. You only solve when there's an equation. All right? Let me extend this a little bit further. When I start talking about equations, and if I'm talking about translating them, then the ideas are the same as when we were talking about translating expressions, except for you'll see words that make it seem like there's more to it, like, oh, all this stuff, and now it's equal to that. So, for example, you might see something that says, 2 more than a number is 10. Well, you can try to figure that out and everything, but in terms of just translating, 2 more than a number, all right, whatever the number is, you need 2 more than that. And this word right here is, this word is tells you it's equal to 10. So this is an equation. All right. With the star, I'll say that x plus 2 is an expression. Right? It has variables and operations. Separately, I'll say that 10 is an expression. Now, the thing is, the moment you set those two equal to each other, so with 2 stars, I'll say, when you set two expressions equal to each other, you get an equation. All right, so nothing changes in terms of translating the expressions. It's just that you now have this equal in there, equal sign in there. That's the real difference there. When we're translating equations, same idea, but you have a couple of extra pieces here. I mean, I couldn't make it more complicated and do more words, but I think that's essentially it. There's a couple of practice problems for homework as well. All right.